Okay, welcome back to the 6 steps to go from an angry to happy and confident mom series. And we're actually on step 6 now. So, if you haven't done so already, you can grab this free downloadable from the blog post. And this has actually all 6 steps. So, this is just a brief overview if you want to follow along and if you want to print this out so you can use this yourself in your daily practice of how to go from an angry to happy and confident mom. So, step 6 is probably one of the more challenging steps, but overall, it's so important to becoming a more peaceful and calm mom. And that is to let go of control and stay present. So, it's easy to get caught up in frustration and worry and anger when you're dealing with your child. But when you stay present in the moment, you can be more intentional with your reaction. So let me give you an example because I know that I am not the only one who goes through this, and a lot of you probably struggle with this. So I would find sometimes I would be putting my child to bed and they would express some concern to me or something that was bothering them. And my mind would take it and run with it and start to think about how this could play out, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 10 years, 50 to when they're an adult. Like in this moment with what this child is sharing with me, my mind would go worry about if this continues or if they continue to think this way, then this might happen in the future. And that would be so horrible. So while my child is trying to share with me what's going on, my mind is already off worrying about the worst case scenario and what could possibly happen. And in that moment, then when they're sharing that, I start to feel panic because I'm worrying, right? So my thoughts, the stories I'm creating about what might happen to the future in the future are creating such worry inside of me. I panic and I immediately either try to fix what they're telling me, or sometimes depending on what they're saying, I reprimand or try to control the situation so that I feel like I am doing something so this doesn't get away from me in the future and cause a big and create a crisis or ultimately cause me a lot of pain. Okay. So I'm sure a lot of you have your times when your mind goes to the worst case scenario of what could happen to your child and what could happen to their future. And it's so easy to get caught up in that, like I said, and to react out of that place, right? So even if you have a toddler and the toddler is hitting, you start thinking about, oh my gosh, if they continue to hit at the play date, this mom might not want me over anymore, or my child might be labeled the hitter, or oh my gosh, if this continues, they're going to get in trouble when they get into grade school. Wonder if they're just a violent individual. When in reality, 2-year-olds hit sometimes because they feel like they can't get their point across any other way. But your mind already runs off with the worst case scenario and what that means when your 2-year-old is hitting another child on a play date. Instead of just focusing on in the moment, what does that child need? Or how can I help this situation, right? We get so caught up and we create panic and we overreact. So one of the things that's really helped me with this work is to accept the fact that, first of all, the future is the future and we cannot control anything that goes on in our future. We can try, but we really have no control about how other people act or other circumstances that come up. And the same goes for our child's future. We can try to do as much as we can to create a good foundation for our children, but really we can't control what they choose to do 10 years from now. And a lot of times we can't even control how they choose to behave today, right? So we can't control what's going to happen ever in the future. So once I could understand that, and thinking about the 50-50 that we've talked about, that life is 50% good and life is 50% bad. Yes, there probably are some bad things that'll happen over time because that's just the way that life is. But me worrying about that in the moment while my child is expressing something to me is not being helpful to my child, and it's creating a hysteria within me. So I really had to kind of settle into this fact that all that matters sometimes is right now with my kids, and I can't let my mind go crazy and think about what could happen down the line, what could happen when they get to high school, what could happen if they go away to college, that is doing nothing positive for me. It's not helping me to parent better. It's not helping to build that relationship with my kids. If anything, it's doing the opposite. It's taking me farther away because I'm not able to be there and actually be nourishing in that moment because I'm so caught up in my own mind. So I realized that when I could come from a place of, wait a minute, what's going on right now? Right now in this moment, my child is just sharing something with me. They're using words to express themselves. And this means nothing more than what I attach to it, right? So instead of thinking that as I'm laying in bed and my child's sharing something with me, oh my gosh, if they continue to think this or act this way, this is going to happen. I can settle in and realize that, okay, that's not helpful, and I'm just going to stay here and listen to my child and be loving or create whatever emotion I want to create in that moment with my child based on what my vision is for how I want to deal with those situations. Remember, we worked on our vision as a mom earlier in this series. So helping myself to let go of the worry, which is not always easy, but it will do wonders when it comes to how you react to situations, has really helped me to be such a better mom and to help also alleviate some of that nightly stress I was putting on myself when I would go to bed with these overriding worries of the future for my kids, the future of this world. When I kind of just set that aside and realized that there's nothing I can do about that right now, all I can do is take things day to day and be present with my kids. It kind of helped me to set those worries aside because I realized that they were not helping me in any way. So I really want to encourage you to do the same thing. I want to encourage you to remember that life is made up of the 50-50, and a lot of that you cannot control. You can't control your child's future. You can't control the choices that they make, even at a young age. A lot of times they have the complete ability, unless you're like holding them down, to behave how they want to behave. And so that means that you really have the freedom then to be with your child when they might really need you in that time of crisis, instead of going into worry mode and trying to fix everything. You can really come from a much more kind and loving place when you cast your worries aside. And I know it's not easy, but sometimes you just have to start with the little stuff. Like if your child doesn't want to finish their vegetables and you start thinking like, oh my gosh, they need the vegetables to be healthy. And if they're not healthy, they might get sick. And if they're sick, I have to keep them home from school and then I'm going to miss work. See how that train can take off, the worry train. Just, sitting with that and realizing, you know what, right now they just don't want to eat their vegetables. And that doesn't mean anything more than that. And you can respond however you choose from that place. So that's step 6. I would say that's one of the most beneficial steps when it's come to me and being more calm in my motherhood, being able to be more available to my kids and not letting my mind run away from me. So that I think if you can really practice that, practice staying in the present, recognizing when your brain is wanting to take off with those worries, realizing that life is 50-50. And the other thing that I want to entertain also is that if you do find yourself projecting into the future and negativity and worry, also remind yourself you could do the same thing in a positive light, right? You could also envision your child's future as something very positive and all the great things that they could do. Like if you're going to use your mind to go to the worst case, you might as well also use your mind to go to the best case. So that's also something that helps, is giving both of those, worry and then, maybe joyfulness, an equal amount of time. So when you find your mind going down to the worry, if you're having a hard time staying present in the moment, you could also just tell yourself, okay, what is a better story I could tell myself about this? What could be the better outcome? All right, well, thank you so much. That is the end of the 6-step series, and I am so excited to get this to you because I think this work is so important for us mothers, because it's one of the most important jobs, is being a mom to kids and raising kids in this world. And if we can come from a place of just a bit more calmness, a bit more happiness, a bit more confidence, we can really have an effect on our kids, and really modeling that to them will help them in how they deal with challenges. So I'm so happy to get this out to you. If you like this series, you can email me or leave a comment under the blog post. There's opportunities for you to download the 6 steps, which will put you on an email list. And I'll be sharing with you any new content that comes out, or classes, or coaching, or anything that I'll have to offer in the future along the 6 steps to go from an angry to happy and confident mom. All right, good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.